5 months of strike action hasn't resulted in huge gains for the miners, compounding the problem: poor living conditions and a lack of services. This young man, who refused to be identified over safety concerns, has been looking for a job as a miner at Lonmin. He left his family in the Eastern Cape after hearing word of possible job openings at the mine.
They told us that there is no work, and that was it. We, the residents, are suffering, and we come from this area. We keep going to the mine manager's office, and they tell us maybe in August.
He says the living conditions at the Inkaneng informal settlement has deteriorated. This despite repeated promises by Lonmin to build their workers better houses.
The living conditions here are very bad. There is no water, and if it rains, it floods. Nothing has changed here. It is still the same as back then.
Lonmin is planning on shedding thousands of jobs due to declining platinum sales. But the unions say no job cuts will be tolerated.
It's not because they are going in red numbers that they are making losses. It's because they are not making high enough profits to satisfy their shareholders. The whole labor market is destabilized because of poverty wages. You can't have peace on the labor market with these wages.
Forsland says higher wages are good for the economy.
Higher wages in South Africa is good for the economy. It's because of the low wage regime in the country that you can't have a local industry.
Lonmin, however, says it's looking to downsize without having to go through forced retrenchments, and has called for its staff closer to retirement to take early pensions. For others, voluntary retrenchments. Many analysts believe the layoffs were bound to happen after Lonmin lost productivity during the protracted strike. But this news comes against a backdrop of increasing tensions between the unions on the mines. The NUM has demanded answers from Lonmin over the retrenchments. But with less than 11% representativity on the ground, their demands are not high on the list of Lonmin's priorities. The NUM blames the violence and intimidation for their dwindling numbers and a loss of influence.
The reason why people left NUM is because those miners were not getting represented. The reason why the strike happened, and it was an unprotected strike back in 2012, is because the NUM weren't listening to them and weren't representing their interests. That's the main reason why people have left. They lost trust in the NUM, and that's why people are not there. I think to blame it on intimidation, if you think that 60,000 people want to rejoin, who's going to intimidate those few that want to join? I don't think that's the main reason.
Despite repeated attempts to schedule an interview with Union AMCU, it failed to avail itself. If Lonmin does shed its numbers, it makes it that much harder for people like this man who've left their whole lives in the rural areas to get a job in the mines. Nosintombi Miya, SABC News, Northwest.